How do you say it? Do you just say, honey, I'm thinking of retiring, and then just let it hang out there?
Well, there's probably many people, and you and I went through this a little bit. We didn't really have a set retirement date. And we would, we'd come back home at night, we'd get frustrated, say, oh my God, I can't wait till I retire. And how many people say that, but they never really sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to retire in 2 years. Let's start talking about it.
Sometimes just communicating that you want to retire, even if you come to it in your own head, getting the words out to your family, friends, significant other is really difficult.
I know it is. And, for us it wasn't, but for many of our clients it is. And frankly, some people come to us so frightened, so frozen, they really need help, just a little bit of help with this one issue to let their spouse or partner know they're thinking about retirement. And, it can be troublesome for a relationship.
It can be because, we often don't think about the other people in the equation when we've come to the resolve that we want to retire, right? We don't think about, what does that mean to my spouse, partner, or children? What are people going to think? What are they going to say? We might think of it in terms of ourselves, but not in terms of the fears that they actually have.
Plus, if someone decides to retire, or let's say their retirement is set to happen in June of next year and they have talked about it, if they don't know what they're going to do, it can be complete chaos. I think of our friend John that retired in June, and he spent July and August watching TV all day long, and his wife finally said, that's it, you got to get out of the house and get a job.
Right.
And they didn't really talk about it.
They didn't.
They had a date, but they never talked about it.
And like many things in relationships, it's not fair just to kind of spring it.
Right.
It's like May 15th, and by the way, I'm retiring June 1st.
Right.
That's a big thing to digest.
Right.
And why? Well, if you think about it, sometimes the issue of finance seems to be a primary stumbling block, and maybe there's just lack of understanding.
It is,
right?
And it's not necessarily a stumbling block, but it's an issue that you need to come to grips with. We don't do financial planning. We take care of everything else. But if you don't have a financial planner or an accountant or a third party to help you have the conversation with your spouse and your children about the finance part, you're going to run into trouble.
Right, because it starts to invoke fear and uncertainty about the future, and what about healthcare, and all these different things, and what about children and weddings in the future, and just if you have a plan, and I think that's the real piece on the financial part, right? If you have a financial plan and it's well understood, then you have that tucked away.
Right.
But let's talk a little bit about telling your spouse and or partner and or family, how do you say it? Do you just say, honey, I'm thinking of retiring, and then just let it hang out there?
Well, there's probably many people, and you and I went through this a little bit. We didn't really have a set retirement date. And we would, we'd come back home at night, we'd get frustrated, say, oh my God, I can't wait till I retire. And how many people say that, but they never really sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to retire in 2 years. Let's start talking about it. And that's what we're encouraging you to start to do. Don't just complain about work, but start talking about it.
Yeah, 100%. Telling your spouse can be difficult, but one piece of advice, that we give to our couples that come to us is just make sure that the topic isn't foreign, that it doesn't catch anybody by surprise. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Jody Rollins.
And I'm Mark Rollins. And we started Retirement Transformed in 2017, not only for us, but for all of you and the other 10,000 people turning 65 every single day.
And we don't focus on the financial aspects of retirement, but rather lifestyle, health, relationships, and so much more.
So if you're new here today, please hit the subscribe button so that you can get notified when our new videos come out.
So let's talk about typical retirement triggers that really, as we surveyed our clients, everyone on both sides of the equation seemed to understand.
Sure. So one of them is major leadership changes at your workplace.
Right.
So you get a new boss, right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean,
or
or the structure changes, or areas that where regions are collapsed, or where there are
so it
things
could be
happening.
downsizing then.
Well, yeah, that's one of them. But there
Yeah.
are just things happening at your workplace that is making you uneasy
Right.
as the employee. Something large like a sale or a merger of companies, and
Well, that happened to
honestly,
you
that's
and
what
me,
happened to
actually.
me. And it happened to me. I waited 3 years and I left. It happened to you. You sold your company and you left after 5 years.
Right.
So these are again, major triggers that people understand.
Right. And another one is an age trigger.
Right.
So there are classes of people like pilots. We understand we have a future, what is he?
Well, he's going to be our in-law.
Future in-law, who's a pilot for American.
Right.
He has to retire at 65.
Right.
No choice.
And again, that's a
And
trigger that everyone understands.
it's corporate policy.
Right.
So, even if you know you have to retire at 65, you still need to talk about it with your partner and your kids. Like, what are you going to do? You've got to get it on the table and not say, I'll take care of it, I'll take care of it, I'll take care of it. That's not fair.
Yeah. And other triggers that people understand are, a major illness to yourself or a family member needing care, because that's kind of an understanding. And even the pandemic, the fear of getting sick,
Well,
causing the great resignation, people started to get their head around that as a trigger they understood for retirement.
with the pandemic, I think it was 3 million new people retired in 2020 and 2021 because of the pandemic. They just said, I'm leaving early. I can't take it anymore. So there were 3 million new people that in America that hit the retirement age just because of that. And frankly, some of them are going back to work, but many of them didn't really prepare properly with a conversation with their spouse and their kids. They just said, I'm out.
But that was still a trigger that,
It was.
because of the masses, people started to understand. So
Right.
box those triggers up, because
Right.
a lot of people get
Right,
them.
right.
But there are also atypical retirement triggers, right?
Right.
Things
Things
that
that
people
cause you to decide to leave.
Right. So, some people just spend so much time feeling irrelevant in their role that they hit a point where they can't take it anymore.
And how do you explain that to your spouse?
It's very difficult
You come home
to
every
explain.
night and say, I don't feel important anymore.
Right.
I'm not valued. And your spouse is like, well, I don't care. You got to go to work. I don't want you hanging around here. And, that gets down to this. I think we'll talk about this more at the end, but really having some great tools to communicate it, right?
Right. And that part of feeling irrelevant, often leads to you just being unsettled in your job. Maybe you're finding yourself just not sure of where the next project's coming from or where you're going. And,
what about just the fact that you're getting a little bit older? You're 60, 61. You were thinking of retiring at 65, but you got some friends who were sick, and you think, you know what? I really want to retire a little bit earlier. I feel like there's not enough time left for me, and I want to do some more fun things. And frankly, if they're financially secure, they can do that. But again, explaining that and having your partner understand that is really an important part of it.
So let me hit a couple more of these atypical, hard to explain retirement triggers, right? So exhaustion,
Right.
just purely exhausted and can't do it anymore. Or even just that desire to make a change. When your spouse or partner or significant other comes home and says, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore.
Right.
I'm going to be a painter or whatever
Well,
it might be.
Go
The
ahead.
desire to make a change is hard to explain if it's not well thought out.
Right. The other thing that happens to some people is they're in their job, they're in their career, they know they're going to leave in 5 years or so, but all of a sudden, they just have this dream or this vision or something happens where they figure out something new they want to do and they want to get down that path. That makes the conversation sometimes even more complicated. I'm going to give up this 6-figure job and I'm going to be a volunteer. I'm going to run a nonprofit. But, again, this whole idea of the third phase, you and I push this all the time on the wisdom sharing, is
Right.
when you're able to find what you're really meant to do and you can do that every day, your life changes dramatically.
Right. So let's get to some points that can help you, right? As true with all difficult things in life, we want to minimize your emotions and maximize productive discussion. right?
What is the word that we use? Asking questions. It's inquiry.
Appreciative inquiry.
Appreciative inquiry.
We got that from positive psychology.
We did, and we use this now as a tool with ourselves all of the time. So I say something to Jody, and instead of her reacting and just saying something, she will start asking me some questions to really get to the root of what is on my mind. And when you can do that as a couple or as a family, then you can get to the bottom as to why I really want to retire or I want to make this change.
And really, again, minimizing the emotions and maximizing the productivity in the discussion. Right. One way to do that is the appreciative inquiry. And another way to do that is just to have a plan. Like, having a plan is a good way to achieve a healthy discussion. With structure in place, you'll find it easier to speak from your heart about this huge transition.
We did this great series on YouTube, and we'll put the link below. There's 3 videos. What to do 10 years before retirement.
Right.
What to do 1 to 5 years before retirement. And what to do your last year in your job before retirement, which has a really amazing checklist, which we should put down below as well, so you can download that for free. But that really starts to help you have a platform to have a discussion, to start to build a plan, like you just said, to bring some clarity to what it is you're going to do when you do retire.
And I think it's really important as you're in these discussions to really talk honestly and openly about how you're feeling, physically, how you're feeling emotionally. Relate your intentions with as much detail as you possibly can to gain the understanding from your family, friends, or significant other.
Right. And we just said a minute ago, the planning, but also have a timeline. Have a really clear timeline laid out and do this together. Again, we're not suggesting that one of you is thinking of retiring and put this plan and stick it in front of your partner's face. No.
Pin it to the fridge.
Yeah, work on this together. So anyway,
definitely.
Watch those other 3 videos. We think you'll find them really helpful.
Try your best to express why you think is the best plan, and if it's necessary, assure him or her that it's going to be okay. Sincerity and forethought in this conversation goes a really long way.
So we want to wish you luck with that. If you enjoyed this video, and we hope you did, please share it with your friends, and also please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below.
And for more retirement lifestyle tips and conversations, click one of the videos below to go see our channel.